Test. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I'm just going to ask people to sit down. If I could just have your attention quickly, if I can ask everyone to quietly take your seats. We'll be starting in a few minutes. I'd like to call the rest of council and other guests up to the stage as well if you are in the room. More minutes? Wow, listen. 2 minutes. Last for years. This is the 5. Sure. Okay, good evening, everybody. There are people watching this broadcast from home, so we'll get the evening going. So I'd like to invite everybody to take their seats. There's a few open seats still around the front, so if there's anyone that doesn't have a seat that may have mobility issues or requires a seat, feel free to come in to the front and fill some of those seats, okay? So we'll get started. Thank you all for coming. Great crowd. Great crowd. If I would have known this would have been such a great turnout, I would have sold tickets. Okay. So my name is Stefan Lefebvre. I'll be the moderator for the evening. So welcome all to this public town hall discussion on community safety. Stefan Lefebvre. I am not with the city. I am a citizen just like you guys. Okay, I'm going to keep going. So we're going to start off with some housekeeping items, just basic health and safety stuff. So everybody came in through the front door. In the case of emergency, that's your best bet. There's also exits all around the arena. They're all pretty much identified back there, over here, and they've opened up the back of the arena as well. So in case of an emergency, find the closest exit and just, stay calm and not run over each other. Public washrooms, as we all know, if you're familiar with the McIntyre Arena, located to my left, just inside the lobby over there. So I'll go over the order of the evening, just so that we have an understanding of how the evening is going to progress, okay? So following my opening remarks, Her Worship the Mayor, Michelle Boileau, will call the meeting officially to order and provide the Mayor's opening remarks. Following Mayor Boileau's opening remarks, we'll ask Kramer Grenke, who is the chair of the Timmins Police Services Board, to offer a few remarks on the behalf of the board. After the opening remarks, we will open the floor to questions. Now, the mayor and other council or other panelists, after the opening remarks, will offer closing remarks at the end of the assembly, and then we'll bring the meeting to a close. So that's the rough agenda. So I'll go over some of the rules of order for this evening's gathering. So we ask that the members of the public conduct themselves respectfully and with decorum when addressing the mayor and council and other members of the panel. There will be zero tolerance policy regarding hate speech, racial commentary, or any other disrespectful conduct. Attendees in violation could be asked to leave the assembly, okay? Moving on. So this evening is intended to be an information session for all of those gathered here and for those viewing the meeting from their homes. Any disruption in the hall could make it difficult for home viewers to follow the proceedings. We want to give as many people as possible an opportunity to ask their questions or express their concerns within this 2-hour period. So members of the public will have 2 minutes, or will have 2 minutes each to pose a question or provide a comment. And I'll go over that again once we get to the Q&A session. As your moderator, I may call upon someone to repeat a question, or as necessary, ask the individual to stop after their 2-minute allotted time. So we just want to keep the process going, okay? If your question has already been asked by someone else or addressed by, or the answer addressed through another question, we ask that you not come up and repeat the question again. The questions should be general in nature and should not be directed to any individual member of the panel. Should be direct. Let me repeat that. Questions should be general in nature and should be directed to the panel, but should not be directed to any one person specifically. I think that makes sense. The mayor will be acting as spokesperson for council and will be responding to the majority of the questions. But the mayor also reserves the discretion to defer the answer to any individual member of council or guest member of the panel, depending on their expertise or appointed to a specific board or committee. So that will be to the mayor's discretion. During the Q&A, we ask that the General Assembly remain quiet and respect both the persons asking the question and the persons answering the question, so that the rest of the Assembly can hear the response. For your general knowledge, we would like to inform the Assembly that this evening's proceedings are being live streamed to the City of Timmins YouTube page, and they are being recorded for future use. So that's pretty much it for the what to do, what not to do part of the evening. So I will now call upon Her Worship Mayor Boileau to officially call the meeting to order.
Thank you, Steph. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. We'll give our technicians a minute to increase the volume. Can everyone hear me okay now? I'll bring the mic closer. How's that? Okay. So then I'd like to begin with the land acknowledgement. As we gather, reminded that Timmins is situated on Treaty 9 territory, otherwise known as the James Bay Treaty Territory, which is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people today. Today we acknowledge Matagami First Nation, Metachwan First Nation, and Flying First Nation, on whose traditional territory we're meeting. So welcome everyone, and thank you all for coming. Merci d'avoir sorti ce soir en si grand nombre pour avoir cette discussion importante. Tonight we're here to listen to you, and we understand that sharing some of your experiences will be difficult. This will be a difficult conversation. But knowing that, we truly do appreciate your participation and we appreciate your engagement. We're glad that people are joining us online and able to take in this discussion from home as well. Since we've been elected as council, over the past 7 months, we have been hearing your growing concerns. There's been an increase in crime in the city, across the city. And with that comes an increase in fear. And we're all part of this community too, and we feel that same fear. That's why we're all here tonight. And yes, we're here as your mayor and as councillors, but we're also here as parents, as daughters and sons, brothers and sisters. We're here as your coworkers, we're here as your neighbors. And we know that there's a lot of work to be done. And the only way that we can get this done is by working together. Our commitment to you tonight is to listen and to continue giving you these opportunities to express your concerns going forward into the future. So with that, we welcome your comments. Tous vos partages sont les bienvenus. We're here to answer your questions. Please understand, we might not have all the answers you're looking for tonight, but we are committed to getting those answers for you. So thank you, merci, miigwech. I'll leave it short for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mr. Grinke?
Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for coming this evening. It's great to see a crowd of this size for an important event such as community safety. On behalf of the Timmins Police Services Board and its 5 commissioners, 2 of them the councillors at the table with us this evening, and our 2 civilian members, I look forward to the dialogue that will be presented this evening that we can take back to the board. The board sets policy and guidance towards how policing is administered in our community, and we look forward to that conversation and how we can move policing and safety and security in our community forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Kramer. All right. The big part of the show. So we'll move on to the question and answer session. So again, I'll just go over some real basic things. I remind the public that you have 2 minutes, a 2-minute limit on your question or comment, okay? So it doesn't necessarily have to be a question. If there's something you just want to share, a thought, anything, we'll stick around the 2 minutes. Again, as moderator, it's the best part of my job. I can, extend it a bit or, shorten it if I feel that we're not getting anywhere. We want to keep the evening going, and we want as many people to have an opportunity to speak as possible, okay? So the microphones will be located. There are 2 in the crowd. So there's an aisle over here and the other aisle to my right, and just near the front there are 2 microphones, 1 in each aisle. We ask, as you can see, microphones are a bit challenging, so just get close enough to the mic, and if we if I feel we can't hear you, I may ask you to speak a little bit louder. I will address the next questions in order in which they have lined up, so I will try and keep an idea or an eye on who's next in line, but it should be easy. There's only 2 mics. I can count to 2, I assure you. And you may ask your questions in French or in English, so feel free to use whatever language you feel most comfortable in. Okay? So, here we are. So I welcome anyone who has a question or a comment to please step up to a microphone. Yes, sir. Oh. I wrote it in red because I didn't want to forget, but if you feel comfortable, we would appreciate it if you do state your name. And if you want to identify which ward you're in or which part of the city you are in, that may help if the mayor decides she may want to call upon someone else to answer the question. Okay, so I will let the gentleman to my right speak first. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Dan Schaefer, and I've been a businessman in the city of Timmins since 1989. I've owned Schaefer Contracting, and I've owned Corner Pockets, which was a bar downtown, which I pretty much closed in 2014 because I didn't feel comfortable leaving a 20-year-old girl working at midnight on a Tuesday. It was already starting to get bad then, and now I feel it's way worse. So I have a question today, and it's anybody that wants to tackle this question, go ahead. So it's not pointed to anybody. 30 years ago, people saved up to buy a house near Spruce and Kimberley. In 2021, Living Space moved into the neighborhood. Since then, those same people have watched crime in their neighborhood skyrocket and can't stand even walking outside their property because they don't feel safe. They've seen their property drop in value. Do any of you feel a bit guilty for putting them in that predicament? And is there a fund to help them move?
Thank you for your question, Dan. I'll answer this. So I'm thinking back on what your question was. You asked first if anyone felt guilty about the Living Space moving into that location. I want to acknowledge what you were saying about what you're experiencing in your neighborhood now. I want to acknowledge that there has been a rise in crime and that there are insecurity issues for residents in that area. Absolutely, we know this, we recognize this. As you mentioned, crime was increasing in 2014. This has been a long time coming. The writing's been on the wall here for quite a long time. I think that's in part why all of us put our names forward to represent you on council and to try to make the right decisions for this community. You're asking if anyone feels guilty. I can say personally that I don't believe I should wear that guilt. Simply because...
You should. Yeah.
So I'll just remind everyone that Living Space isn't a city operation. It's not a department of the city. It's a non-for-profit organization that was created out of need. It's ran by its own board of directors. It isn't governed by municipal council. It isn't governed by the Timmins Police Services Board. So no one up here manages the operations of Living Space. That being said...
Can I refute that? Because I can't even build a 12 by 12 shed without city permission.
If I may...
It obviously came by somebody's desk and it could have been stopped.
It hadn't. Because the building isn't owned by the city of Timmins. The building didn't require, the property didn't require rezoning. We're here to have a discussion on community safety, and we want to hear your concerns, and we're hearing your concerns. I'll say that there are board directors that are watching this and will be hearing your concerns as well. You asked if there was a fund. Again,
Is there a fund?
that wouldn't be a question that we could answer. We don't govern the budget for the emergency shelter or for any of the non-for-profit organizations in our city.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to the next question. Thank you, Dan. Ma'am, to my left.
Yeah, I'm Almeda Walbridge. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
I'm Almeda Walbridge. My husband and I have a law firm in downtown Timmins on Pine Street. We have a laneway behind our law firm, and our staff is terrified of going out in that laneway. That's our life. I've sent you, Madam Mayor, and Brian Marks, a list of everybody here who's from our law firm, all the problems they've had, seeing people defecate in the law firm, in the backyard, being accosted, things stolen, drug deals going on, seeing people shoot up. This is not the Timmins that I remember. And these people, we have rights. So I've made some inquiries, and I understand that the living space gets $3.7 million a year for the next 3 years. I've been told that by Kate Durst. I said, how much money do you get? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what, and you know, I asked her, how many people can you accommodate in the living space? And she said, first of all, she didn't know how to answer it, but she said 63, maybe 33 or 63. And she's not overrun by homelessness people. They have spaces there. So the problem, we don't know the number of homeless people in this town unless you do. And I've looked at the statistics from DSAB. 1 year, 2021, it was 242 people from Moosonee and all these different places. What is the homelessness in this town? It's not 1,000. So can you answer that for me?
Thank you. Again, I recognize what you're talking about in the laneways. I've witnessed it myself. My parents own a building downtown. They live above their business. We witness the same things in the laneways, and it's not right. And Timmins isn't the same community that it was before. And that's why we're all here.
Please, if we can let the mayor speak.
Yeah.
Just,
Thank you.
can we get through the answers, please? Thank you.
We're all here on council to try to make things better here in the city of Timmins.
You're not going to make anything better if these people are living downtown. It's never going to be better. It's not going to happen. So, I just want to tell you, I recognize that these people are in need, and that they're alcoholics or drug addicted or mentally ill, but this is not the place on the streets to provide treatment for them. And they should not be living in this area because they won't follow the rules. They don't follow the rules. Have you had anybody go to the washroom on your yard or put up a tent in your front yard? Well, I have. So they're human beings as well, but they should not be downtown. So this is where our business is. Mining companies are coming here. As soon as they see this disaster in this town, they're going to hit the road. So I've been here for in this office space for 30 years and in Timmins for 40 years, and this is my home. I don't want this. Mm-hmm. So give them something, but not in town.
No. So if I may, you asked a question. You asked the question if we know how many people are experiencing homelessness today in Timmins, and we do.
Okay.
So we administer the by names list, and when I say we, I don't mean the City of Timmins. The Cochrane District Social Services Administration Board, with the community partners, are feeding what we call the by names list. And this is a list of all the people that are experiencing homelessness or at risk of experiencing homelessness, that are at different levels of homelessness. I have the May stats. I don't have the most recent stats, of course, but the month of May, in the Cochrane District, there were 216 people listed on the by names list.
Yeah.
In the City of Timmins, there were 169 listed on the by names list. So we do have an idea. I would say it's expected that we are seeing more visible homelessness today. Across Canada, in the last 2 years, homelessness has tripled. Timmins is a city in Canada. We are experiencing what pretty much every municipality across the region, across the province are experiencing.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't make it right, but we acknowledge that there is an issue, and we have a plan to try to address that issue. We're working the plan.
Well, the plan should include getting them another place to live. That's what the plan should include. And giving all the facilities that they need. That's what the plan should include.
That is what we're working towards.
Okay.
All right, you guys are going to make my job really hard tonight. I'm not even getting paid. It's okay. Listen, okay, right. So, well, I understand that there's a lot of energy and I get it. I'm trying, I want to be fair to everyone. I live in this city as well. But we want to give everybody a chance as much as possible, and we have quite the lineup. So I will be a little bit more harsh. So if you can ask your question, and then please return to your seat so that we can move on to the next question. So we'll give the mayor an opportunity, or whoever, to answer the question. And if we can, again, your expressions are welcome, but if we can try and keep the outbursts just to, a controllable level, okay? Just so we can keep things going. So thank you very much. So, sir, your question?
Thank you for being willing to serve the public interest tonight. My name is Chris Lamarche. My family and I are the owners of the building northwest corner of Algonquin and Cedar, just across from the street from City Hall. A property my father bought in 1984. Properties that were fully occupied for decades until living space opened. We came here tonight to voice our concerns and to ask you to pay attention to what is happening in our once beautiful city. I could go on all night about the issues we faced over the past 7 years. Long-standing commercial tenants moving out because their staff didn't feel safe, AC units being damaged, people shooting up between our buildings, having to build $15,000 wall to keep people out from doing drugs between our building. Recently, a break-in where they ripped out the window, closed our water, closed our gas, ripped every single water line out of our basement, and stole tools and other construction materials. I ask that each of you look outside your window when you go to work, or as you're walking to work, or going home, going for lunch. This is something that we deal with every day. It's affecting our financials, it's affecting our families. You can't just keep turning away. It's nice to help people, but when it's affecting the taxpayers and the people who are trying to help them, we're getting nowhere. We're feeding the bear. So far, we've lost over $200,000 worth of just revenue because nobody wants to rent from us, because we're right next door to the old living space, now the safe injection site. What are you going to do for us for the devaluation of our property, or the empty spaces that you guys no longer compensate on taxes for empty spaces? What do we do now?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for coming to speak and tell your story and what you're dealing with at your property. The story you're sharing is not unique to yourself. We're hearing this from property owners, from business owners from across the city. So know that we hear you, and we hear everyone that has a similar story. We know that this is happening across the city and not just at that corner. My office looks out at your building, Chris. I know what you're dealing with. I know what you're speaking about. And that's exactly what we're trying to end here. We are trying to end chronic homelessness in the Cochrane District in the City of Timmins by 2025. We are trying to... I was under the impression that's what we wanted. We want to increase the supports and services available to people who are struggling from mental health and addiction issues.
But what about the taxpayers who are funding all this?
That's... Yeah. You have every right to ask that question. You're paying taxes and you want to see value for your money. And we want to make sure that we're delivering on that. We really do. Know that the funding that we are using in our homelessness prevention initiatives aren't coming from municipal dollars. And I know there's only one taxpayer. Harm reduction supplies, I'll address that question even though you didn't have the microphone, but harm reduction supply, that is being funded by provincial funding streams. Those are not municipal dollars. We are doing the best we can to make sure that the municipal dollars that you're paying are being spent on things like bylaw enforcement, are being spent on things like policing. That's what your tax dollars are.
So why can't the police do anything about it when we call them?
Okay. We'll move on. Okay. We're going to move on to the next question. And I believe that is Dan. Dave. Sorry, Dave.
It's okay. I have some issues too, but it's not about what we've been talking about. I live on Ferguson Road in South Porcupine, and a week ago, there was cars racing down the street, and there was a lady walking with her three kids, and the one little girl, when one car raced past her, she pulled away from the other person, the other little girl, and then the other girl pulled away from the other little girl, and Mama was just freaked out because there was a car coming behind them. Now, on our street, we've got a lot of kids, a lot of dogs and men and women walking and walking. We have trucks and cars that go down our street. I've clocked them at 95 miles or kilometers an hour, and I have a radar gun, which Rick Lemieux wants over in Northern College so he can show. But the thing about it is when you go south on right now they're doing work on it on Crawford. But when you're going south on Crawford, and if you're going left to go east on Algonquin, you're going to be sitting there for a long time. And if you're a tractor trailer or a truck loaded with everything, well, why bother going down that way? Let's just go right down Ferguson down to Bristol. And there's a stoplight there, and they can turn left, and they don't have to wait. And we have so many kids and puppy dogs and parents, and it's just, and I would like, okay, I have a radar gun that's as accurate as the police, okay, and I use it. Now, why they can't put...
Sorry, Dave, do you have a question? You have 5 seconds.
Okay. There, in the wintertime, at the corner of Lawrence and Ferguson Road, the snow is so high, even though there's a stop sign.
Okay.
You have...
Thank you, Dan.
Do you have a question?
Yes. Could we get a stop sign that goes east and west on Robinson? Because in the wintertime, the snow is out so far,
okay.
You have to go into the middle of the street, and you might get clobbered.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're making note of that request, and that's something that we could ask for a traffic study to see if a stop sign would be warranted. And I just want to remind everyone that we're having a discussion on community safety, and every resident has different concerns. Some of them are shared, some of them are the same concerns, some differ depending on the neighborhood. So out of respect for everyone's time, I just ask that we respect the person at the mic. If they're sharing their concern about what is their safety concern to them, that we just respect that, please. And so thank you. Traffic safety is very important. that's part of what we're talking about here, community safety. And so thank you for your question. We'll make note of that, and we'll add that to the list of traffic studies that we have our departments do for us. Thank you.
To my right, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Melissa Kelly, and I own the Melissa Kelly Dance Academy here in Timmins. And I want to start by thanking all of you for being here this evening. Thank you for the amazing work you guys are doing on the streets, but now we've got to keep those safe. And now on June 2nd, I sent everybody here on council an email, a very important email. I got a few responses from a few of you. Thank you very much. Mayor, I'm still waiting for your response. However, I do feel this is very important to bring up. On May 26th, my husband, my 7-year-old, and I woke up to a disaster in our home. My home is attached to the studio. Okay, I'm located in front of the Cinema 6 on Cedar South. They came in, they broke in through Studio B window while we were sleeping. The feeling of violation, paranoia, fear has left us with no words. We sleep with a bat at the end of our bed. We've had a few break-ins before, but nothing like this. What they destroyed, what they stole, has had us pay for contractors to come in and put custom-made metal bars in our windows, update my alarm system, put in new cameras. I'm gonna be forced to hire a full-time security guard at my studio. I've been in business for 19 years, and I have never, ever, to this day, felt so unsafe living in my home. Now, I am here to speak on behalf of all the small businesses that are in the city of Timmins. I would love, I am still recovering from COVID-19. I was not an essential worker. I was forced to shut down. I am still trying to keep my head above water. Now, paying all of these expenses to now keep my studio and my home safe, that requires money. Money my business does not have at this point in time. Now, what I am asking of you is to perhaps consider an enhanced security funding for the small businesses who have been affected by vandalism and B&Es. You know, I truly feel if the city of Timmins continues to want to support living space and to support these safe injection sites, they should definitely be supporting the blood, sweat, and tears of business owners who contribute. I'm sorry, but we do. Enough is enough. Enough is enough, and I do believe that we contribute immensely to the economic growth of this city. So please, if you are going to find some type of funding, please give it to your small businesses who desperately want to stay open. But I don't know if I can stay open for another 12 years until I hit 30 years of business, because I am scared.
Yeah.
So thank you.
No. Thank you, Melissa, for sharing your story. It wasn't easy to read, and it's not any easier to hear. So thank you very much for sharing, and I know that wasn't easy to share either. I couldn't imagine, and we are trying to do something about it. And so what you speak to, and thank you for coming with a concrete request and something for us to consider. I want to say we do want to support our business community. We want you to be able to not only pay your bills and get by and tread water, we want to see you thrive. We want to see you grow and prosper, because that is how our city is going to grow and prosper. We know that you are the backbone of our community. So with that, I would say you spoke to funding available to enhance safety and security features at your businesses. We already have, under the Community Improvement Program, the CIP, what's called the Safety Grant. After hearing concerns from business owners, hearing from a business that had been broken into 11 times, that just sat outside of the designated downtown area to which people could access that fund, we realized we had to do something about that. And so we're currently reviewing the Safety Grant so that it will be broader and any business in the city of Timmins will be able to apply to it, not just those within a designated area. That will be coming in a few weeks for our approval. We've also dedicated additional funds to that safety grant to be able to accommodate the increase in applications for safety. So we heard you. It might not be enough. It's more for now, and then we'll continue to build on that. But know that we are planning on making it available to everyone, every business in the city, and we're going to add to that fund so that more people could access it. We also spoke of security, so I believe you were talking about security features for your business, but know that there is currently an RFP open for a security service to help us monitor what's going on in the city. So there is an RFP out for security to patrol the city in evening hours. The RFP process closes June 20th, and we should have for our consideration a recommendation on the proponent to go forward with at the June 27th council meeting. So stay tuned. We hope that by June 27th, we'll be awarding a contract for security services across the city as well. So we are hearing you, and we're doing what we can in the immediate to enhance what's available, and we're going to continue to build on it. Thank you, Mel. I'll respond to the question just because I'm sure it'll come up again later, and I'm sorry, sir, for you're waiting patiently, but the question was asked, who's paying for that? So know that we're dedicating all those additional funds. We're taking that out of the Municipal Accommodations Tax Fund. This is money that's collected at hotels. When people come and stay in a hotel, there's an additional 4% charge to their bill. That's the municipal accommodation tax. So that's coming to the city. We've decided to dedicate some of that money to improving safety in the city. So that's not coming from the property tax levy that we're collecting. That's coming from the MAT fund, which is collected at overnight stays from the hotels. Thank you.
Sir? Yes.
My name's Roland Lajeunesse. I don't have any incredible stats like she has or a wonderful speech like that woman had over there, but I'm curious to see if, a show of hands, how many people have had their homes, garages, or vehicles broken into? And the fact that I hear time and time again, not to put down the police because they're hammered by the rules that they have to follow, but that they're picked up, they're put in jail, and they're let go in what, about an hour? What kind of deterrent do we have here to protect us from them? Because when it happens, like you heard in that woman's voice, it changes you when they break into your shit, man. It hurts. It's weird hurt, but it doesn't go away. And it's to the point where, like myself, I don't trust people. I don't like people anymore. And that's the kind of town that's being created by these people.
Thanks, Roland. Did you want to address it or move on?
I think what you're referring to is what had been coined as the catch and release process, and it's a result of changes to the bail system. The bail system is under review because the federal government heard us, received our lobbying letters. We sent letters asking for a review of the bail system because of that, because of what's happening. We work with our colleagues in municipalities across the province requesting for a review of the bail system. Unfortunately, at the local level, now it's a sit and wait. And our fine police service continue to do the work, and they're catching them. But now we have to sit and wait for the bail system to be able to accommodate our needs, fortunately.
Moving on?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Madam, on my right.
Hi, my name is Faye Monette.
Please, can we...
I am not a business owner, but I certainly feel for them. And I feel for everybody here that has had issues with whatever's going on in their backyard. I feel awful that I have to roll up my patio carpet and my patio table and chairs and put them away every night because I'd like to have them back in the morning, right? The Timmins Police are doing what they can, and a couple of weeks ago they had tips on how to protect your home. Lock it up. I do lock it up. Now we have to lock the offenders up.
Thank you, Ms. Monette. Sir? Just a moment. Okay. Yeah, no, I think you're good.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'm a senior, and I've been in this city for over 60 years. I have seen this city go from great to not so great, and now to frightening, literally frightening. I fear going to the post office, to the restaurant, or to my bank, because I've been confronted twice in broad daylight. And if you people think this is fun, I hope it never happens to you. But here's what I'm asking. September the 30th, 21, the city gave $1 million for a free injection site. I wonder how much that helped them. I can't see any good coming from that. That should be moved out of town like a lot of European countries are doing. They're closing them downtown. They're moving them out. But here is my question to you, Council and Mayor included. It's very simple. I'm a victim, and I see an army of victims here tonight as well. Victims, unfortunately, have very little right in this country. That's my conclusion, okay? But here is my real question. Is there any way you can get money and help us victims? Because we're out in the cold.
10 more seconds.
Okay, and here is the other part. Our justice system has all the charm and odor of an unflushed toilet. And I think our victims have to get together and flush it and give it the royal flush.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Helmut. This is exactly what we're trying to do. We are trying to help all of you. That is what we're trying to do. And we are trying to get the funding and the resources that we need as a municipality to meet your needs as residents. That is what we're doing. You referred to the Safe Health Site Timmins, to the consumption and treatment service site that we have here in the city, that council did support. And that was out of need. That was to keep people alive. I suppose what I'll just end on is that the Timmins and area drug strategy comprises 4 different pillars. There's 4 parts to what we're trying to do and that we have to do in parallel to actually get anywhere and to move the needle on any of this. Harm reduction is just one of those pillars. There are more. Treatment is another one of those pillars. Social inclusion is another one of those pillars. We are working on every one of those pillars.
I'm sorry. Can we please let the mayor speak? This is why we're here, is to get information. So if we can please keep the disruptions to a minimum moving forward. We're almost an hour into this, and we still have a lot of people that have questions. So I'm going to ask for your cooperation and your patience. And if we can please just be a little bit more respectful, okay? We want to get through this. We want to give as many people an opportunity to ask a question. So we'll move forward. Or did you want to move ahead? Or sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
With that, I just wanted to say that I acknowledge the concerns. I would ask that you put yourself in the shoes of a parent who doesn't know where their child is that night, that they might be in the streets, they might be in a trap house, and you don't know who's around them, and you don't know if there's going to be someone there to save them if they go into an overdose. That's what Safe Health Site Timmins exists for. It's there to not only save people, but to wrap services around them and to provide information about what resources exist in our community when they're ready for them. It's one part of the Timmins and area drug strategy. I'll leave it there.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. We're going to move on. We're going to move on. Ma'am, your question?
Okay, I don't have a question or a comment. With your permission, I'd like to read about a 3-minute speech which appeared on the closed Facebook page. Okay. Do I have permission? Yes? Okay. This text was written by Andrew Vincent. One of the topics that comes up in these discussions is the idea of empathy and compassion. They are words that are thrown around by people who are on one side of the debate. They are used as a tool in arguments to shut down people with whom they disagree. It is a tactic used by these people to try to make you feel like you are a bad person if you don't agree with them. The fact of the matter is, empathy is shown in different ways. You can wish the very best for someone and have a different opinion on what that looks like. There is nothing neither empathic nor compassionate about enabling an addict or a criminal. There is nothing neither empathic nor compassionate about relieving a person of all personal responsibility and accountability because you see them as a victim of addiction or circumstance. You will never hear a recovered addict say, "I wish my friends and family had given me more money for drugs." You will never hear a recovered addict say, "Oh, if the government had just given me a few more free needles and a few more hits of synthetic heroin, I would have been so much better off." On the contrary, they will all say somewhat of the same thing, which is that tough love, forced interventions, and institutions are what it takes. This is what true empathy looks like. As for housing, as someone who has owned over 20 apartments and managed another 30 units, I have seen my fair share of events. The housing first theory, although it may sound good on paper, has been completely disproven in practicality. If you give an addict a place to live with no accountability or prerequisites, you are simply providing them with a private place to overdose. Statistics show that the majority of overdose deaths occur when someone is alone in their own apartment. I have rented apartments to high-risk individuals in the past, sometimes out of empathy/hopes that they will improve their lives, and sometimes inadvertently, not knowing that they were someone who was an addict or part of that lifestyle. People who are abusing meth and fentanyl leave a path of destruction behind them that is infinitely worse than anything an average person can imagine without seeing it for themselves. The last apartment I managed that was overtaken by addicts looks like something out of an apocalyptic movie. More damage than you can imagine, and literally thousands of needles spread out across the floors. Timmins is not the only city with these issues. In fact, they are spiraling out of control in all cities across North America. I was just in California for a month and spent a day in San Francisco. It is worse than what you hear. Every square foot of sidewalk space in their downtown core is occupied by someone, with makeshift tents, toilets, and human feces all over the street. There are parts of Vancouver that are the same. These cities have been dealing with these issues for longer than the rest of the continent, but we are following the same policies that led to these cities' social decay. Nearly done. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I can tell you that the answer is not a perverted sense of compassion and empathy, whereby we abdicate all personal responsibility and accountability from addicts and criminals. These people need help, but not in the form that we are currently providing. And next time someone tries to shut you up by telling you that they are more compassionate or empathic than you, remember that it does not make you a bad person to think that's what's best for someone isn't free rein to do whatever they want. Thank you.
Thank you. Pam.
Hello. Hi, good evening. My name is Tracy Koskamp-Bergeron. I'm the Executive Director of the Alzheimer's Society that serves this community. We are located in the 101 Mall. As you can imagine, it's not safe. That building has family health care, it has the barber shop, it has Vision, it has Service Ontario, it has a bank. Our community and that building is surrounded by older adults who are vulnerable. Our adult day program is in that space. The caregiver brings their loved one with dementia into our programming. There's security in the building. The washrooms are locked in the building. If someone needs to go to the washroom and is an older adult, they don't have time to go and find somebody who can open that door. That's not safe. My staff are not safe. My staff have to park across the street in city parking and have been accosted by people coming up, asking for money, and among other things. I have to have them wait to walk in pairs into work. I have to have staff move their vehicle into the 101 Mall parking lot if they work past security coverage.
I hate to do this, but...
Yeah, speed it up. I get it.
I'm sorry.
My sons live close to Melissa Kelly Dance Studio. In one night, my son had 4 tires on rims stolen. Tried to find someone in that area with a camera. All their cameras have been damaged. That's not safe. This is not safe. My suggestion for you is to look at other communities who've moved addicted housing out of the community and brought services to them. One more thing. People experiencing homelessness are not the same people as those who are living with addiction and who are struggling. Two different. And the city needs to hold CDSAB accountable for what they brought into our community and the services ineffectively provided. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, did you move? No?
I want to give the chance to everyone to actually to share their concerns. We're here to listen. We really are. If we're asked for information, I'm happy to provide it, but I really do want to hear. And hearing about those hot spots and hearing about what your staff's going through, that's what we need to know. We need to know where those hot spots are so that we could allocate the resources appropriately.
Thank you.
It is.
Thank you.
I agree with you, sir.
Ma'am?
Hi. My name is Sonia Beeman. I'm the owner of Lemongrass in downtown Timmins. I have a question for every one of you up there. Have you been affected financially, physically, mentally by any of this that's going on in this city? Have you? Have you? Any of you? I have. All three of them. All three, I have been affected. Would you, any of you, like living space beside your big, beautiful homes? I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm going to ask the same question I asked almost 3 years ago when I was attacked. Broad daylight downtown. What are you doing for the rest of the community besides the homeless, the drug addicts, and you know, the people that run this living space that make $110,000 a year? That's my loss in 1 year of business because of the living space. I'm done. I go out of town, people say, where are you from? And I tell them Timmins, and they're like, what the hell? You're proud, Mayor, to be mayor of this city? Are you? Really? I would not be proud, I'm sorry, and I would not tell people I was a councillor. No. You should not be proud of the destruction you are all causing in this city. Mayor, do you shop local? Do you? I don't think so.
I do.
I don't think so.
Do you have a question, ma'am?
No, I'm venting right now.
I understand.
And I have a right to vent. I pay taxes. I have lost so much business. And I'm told by the police to lock my door for my business. Are you kidding me? I depend on walk-in traffic in my store. How am I going to support my family? I'll be living at the living space soon if I don't get more business in my store. Every single one of you have not been affected the way everybody here has been affected. Your parents, I know, they live downtown. Yes, I know that. We all know that. I'm pissed and I'm fed up. Move living space away from the citizens in this town. Away. I have to watch them out of my window every day, zombies walking in front of my window at work. I go home to relax. They're in my backyard now, tents. So I gotta watch them all day at work, then I gotta watch them at home. Where are our rights? Do you have people in your backyards? I don't think so, right? Do you, Mr. Marks, have people in your backyard? I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to respond.
Do you invite them in for
You've asked a lot of
coffee,
questions.
Thank you.
You've asked a lot of questions. I would like to respond
Okay.
to some of them. I would just like to remind everyone that everyone sitting up here is a resident in the city of Timmins. Just because we're sitting up here doesn't mean that we're any better than any of you. We know that.
You still get your paycheck though, right? If I don't make sales in my store, honey, I get no paychecks.
So
you do. All of you get your paychecks.
If I may respond to your questions. We are all here to do public service. We are here working for you. You said you're pissed.
I am.
You have a right to be pissed.
Yeah.
You do.
We want to know what your plan is to help us. That's why people are so upset.
Yes.
Stop helping the addicts, stop helping all the homeless, and help the taxpayers that pay your wages.
Thank you so much. And that's exactly why we're here. We want to listen to you. We're here because we are accountable to you. So thank you for sharing. I believe I know I could speak for myself. I've had people in my yard. There's a tent in the backyard behind mine.
Bother you?
It does bother me, and that's why I'm
Does it bother
doing
you
this
that
work.
Your children are around needles.
You asked if I was proud to be the mayor of this city. I'm not proud to be the mayor of a city that has one of the highest homelessness rates per capita in Ontario. I'm not proud to be the mayor of the city that has one of the highest overdose-related fatalities per capita in Ontario. I am proud to be the mayor for all of you people. I am proud of some of the amazing work that is being done by the people in this room. I am proud to be the mayor of this city, and I'm proud of the fact that though we were the top of the list for those things that I listed, we're moving our way down. I'm proud of that.
We don't see that.
But we recognize that there is a lot more work to do, and that's why we're here.
Anything being done in this town. It's worse. It's terrible.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir.
Hi, my name is Zachary Joseph. I live on Fifth Avenue, and I'm sure you guys are more than aware of all of the happenings that the police have to respond to on Fifth Avenue. I feel that on that street, every single taxpayer has less rights than the zombies that walk down the sidewalk. We have to fear stepping outside just because they think that they have the right to walk down and claim anywhere. My backyard is littered with their findings. I've had homeless people break into 2 different apartments in my building. I've had to witness this and call the police over it multiple times. This is not right. Every single person in this city pays taxes for safety. Where is it? I've been fired because the homeless people had more rights in my place of business than I did as an employee. Their safety was more of a concern to my employer because of the fact that they can do whatever they want. They can walk around and steal anything. All of these taxpayers here pay hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for groceries that these people help themselves to every day. Hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. When I worked at Food Basics, in 9 months, $40,000 in just the meat department was stolen. That is one department, and that's only the second biggest loss. Beer and wine was the worst. And do you want to tell me that, beer and wine is helping them? Do you think that all of their drug sources being in immediate access is help for them? Every single addict who has actually recovered, their first step is get away from their old sources, get away from their old friends, and get away from access. Stop giving it to them. Anywhere in this city they can get drugs. What are you going to do to stop them from being able to go and find it anywhere? Why do we keep having to pay for it?
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move. Okay.
Hi,
We'll move
my
on.
name is Lisa Dagenet, and I am a unproud owner at the corner of Kimberley and Pine. I am raising 3 grandchildren who now do not have access or have not had access to their own property since Living Space moved in 2021. I have recently upgraded my home. My taxes went up. I'm not paying extra tax. Why would I pay extra taxes? I'm not utilizing my yard. The drug addicts are. The police, when they're in my fenced yard, 6 feet of fenced yard, are in my yard. My kids go outside and say, Mom, someone's on our trampoline. These are ages 4, 5, and 7, and 2 of them are autistic. How fair is this? Kate's in the back here from Living Space. Come on, Kate, come on up. Come on, Kate, come answer some questions for us. Kate?
Pardon?
You come up here, Kate, and voice
Excuse
your
me?
opinion.
Ma'am, please, no. I'm sorry.
Okay, Kate, I'm going to address
just,
this one to you.
I'm sorry.
No,
The question and answer period is to be directed to the mayor and council. So if we can just keep some basic rules going here, guys.
Okay,
I want to
sounds
give
good.
everybody a chance, and I'm
I
trying to be fair as well. So
I have personally spoken to Kate. I have sent letters to the mayor. I have sent emails, and I get bullshit back. Bullshit. Tell me why I'm paying extra property taxes for a property I cannot use. Tell me why my little children with autism are not safe. Tell me why they are not allowed to take the bus in the morning because of the unsafe environment around my home. Tell me why, when men are working on my home and a contractor is working on my home, I have to be home. Do you know why I have to be home? Because they're too busy to protect their tools. They're too busy not to have somebody come up and steal shit. They're walking into my fenced yard. They're walking into my home if a door is open. Tell me what you're going to do today. I don't want to hear about it next week or in a year. What you're going to do to stop the amount of crime. I don't blame the police. They know me by name. Hey, it's Lisa Dagenet calling. Yeah, we'll be right there. It's ridiculous. I walked into a court, everybody knew who I was because of the amount of crap that we have to deal with. Do you know that we have bed and breakfasts down our street? They drive in, they drive out, all lost revenue because they look at it and go, oh shit, look at all these houses boarded up. I'm not staying in an area with boarded up houses. We have to live in it. They have the option to leave. Lost revenue, unsafe environment, and then you're telling me harm reduction in giving out needles? So they give out the needle kits at Living Space and expect them to walk all the way over to Cedar to use it. Cedar, yeah. Cedar, so they gotta walk all the way there, and they're expected, oh, okay, hang on a second. I'm a drug addict, so I'm gonna take this little kit, and I'm gonna truck on over there to Cedar, and I'm gonna use a safe injection. I'm just gonna overdose and die anyways. All the people, I needed an ambulance, guess what? There were none available. Do you know why? They were all at Living Space. So again, taxpayers have zero rights. We pay taxes. We're supposed to be able to use ambulance, police. We can't, because why? They're all being utilized by Living Space. So how are we being protected? How are our tax dollars used? I don't want to pay extra. I think we should all stop paying taxes. Stop paying taxes until Living Space is moved.
Okay. Thank you.
So how are you going to do that, Mayor?
To respond to your question, you asked what are we going to do to end this tomorrow?
No, I said I don't want it. I said I don't want an answer tomorrow or next week. I want an answer tonight.
I hope everyone in this room...
You've had over a year to deal with this.
I'm sorry. Please, can we let the mayor answer the question?
I hope everyone in this room can appreciate that there is no quick fix to this. There is no quick fix to any of this. I hear the calls to move Living Space. We hear those calls. We understand what you're asking for. I can tell you that there's no quick fix to this. And by moving the location of the emergency shelter, this won't fix our problems in the city. Emergency shelter will continue to be required because homelessness will still exist regardless of where our emergency shelter is located. That being said, I am not discrediting what you're saying. You're in the right to be expressing yourself the way you are because you've seen the increase in your neighborhood. I'm not discrediting that. What we're hoping to do, the city's position, is to move this city in a direction where we don't need an emergency shelter anymore. Again, we are trying to end homelessness. And I'll tell you, in terms of your safety concerns, it's not okay that your children can't use their yard. That affected me to hear that your kid came out and mentioned that there was someone on the trampoline. We have a trampoline in our backyard, and I can't imagine what that must feel like as a mother. Continue sharing those safety concerns with us, please. I believe you've seen a response just in the last few weeks about the bus stop, and we were able to ensure that there'd be police presence there to ensure the safety of your children while they wait for a bus.
Please.
We need to keep hearing about these concerns, and that's why we're here, so that we know how to solve issues with immediate responses while we continue to work on the longer-term solutions. There's nothing I can tell you that will make this problem right tomorrow. We're working on it. Thank you. We're going to have to continue.
Okay, we're going to move on. We're not going to get through everybody at this rate, guys. We got about half an hour, 35 minutes left. So I'm trying to give everybody an opportunity. Sir?
Hello, my name's Troy Rumleski. I'm a father of 3 daughters, and I reside in Schumacher. Just to expand on what the young lady said, I have multiple friends that are in EMS, and over and over and over again, they say they get repeat calls to the same place, to the same people. You're providing them, it's not even a Band-Aid. Actually, it's a hemorrhage. Things are getting worse than better. And as far as location of living space, I think maybe a solution would be is to move them out of a residential area and move them somewhere. I mean, I don't have the answer, but move them somewhere else other than residential. As far as the policing, I do have an issue with the police. An anecdote, again, I have 3 little girls. There was a drug user that was tweaking in front of my house. I called the police because if I dealt with it, then there would be an ambulance, okay? The police came and they said, oh, well, we can't do nothing. He's on private property. Well, it wasn't his private property, okay? And then that gentleman that they ended up letting go ended up walking around the corner to Circle K and had an overdose. So, I mean, that's just one aspect. And then I personally went to Timmins Police Services 3 times, and I approached the desk sergeant and said, you need to beef up. There's just so much going on. The first time they did, okay, and I went back 2 and 3 times, and I'm still waiting to hear from the Timmins Police. Okay? And then I was wondering about, you mentioned business safety grants. Well, what about residential safety grants? Police is failing, so maybe, you can set up a fund to give everyone a home security system. Who knows, here's a question. Why, knowing what we were talking about tonight, why is there no representation from Living Space?
Thank you, Troy. Can we move on? Thank you.
I won't speak on behalf of Living Space again. It's not a municipal operation. As your mayor, as your councillors, as your police services board, we wanted to sit before you and we wanted to hear you and give you the opportunity to be heard. And so that's what this evening is. I'm going to leave the decision up to Living Space whether or not they want to host their own town hall or not. But we felt it was important to be engaged with residents so that we could hear from you and hear of these kind of ideas like the residential safety grant that you brought up. Thank you. Bring forward your ideas, because at this point, we know there's growing frustration. We know the problem is getting worse. Every idea is on the table here for us to consider. And so I appreciate you coming forward with a productive idea. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Sir? Sorry, you're on. You're good.
Hi, my name is Ron Lapine. I run Secure Systems, Inc. I've been doing security systems for the better part of 20 years. I'm not maybe the expert, but I've lived in Timmins for 67 years. Timmins wasn't like this when I grew up. We could walk up on 3rd Avenue, and when the lights came on, you had to be down at 233 Middleton. And there was we didn't have to run and worry. Now that said, I do security system. All my customers are my friend, right? Sorry I didn't do yours, but you can ask Chris. And when I have to go back in there and they have been broken into, no matter what we do, because you say they're homeless, but they're intelligent. You say they're drug addicts, but they have all kinds of excuses. I was brought up that you are in control of yourself. It's not my father's fault, and it's not my mother's fault. My father was a logger, and I am now educated. My sisters were educated. My sister ran, anyway, she ran a business. I'm just sorry. I take this personal. Now, Living Space come in, and I've seen the difference. My sister-in-law started the methadone clinic over 20 years ago. When she was down on Commercial Avenue, she had a success rate of 82%. She now has a success rate of 2%, right? I have witnessed a person coming out of Living Space that's high as a kite, fall down, get hurt in front of the methadone clinic. The person from the methadone clinic went to Living Space, said, your patient, the one that you just let out, is here. They were told, we can't do nothing. She had to call the ambulance, right? And then you get my other customers who have people like I've heard here, and I can tell you more horror stories than you can think of, because I got just about as much information as the guys in black and white there. That things happen, and I'm going like, what do we do? When I first got into it, it was like people was a hobby to get a security system. Now I can sell a security system, and if they get violated like this lady has, she'll pay an arm and a leg no matter what. But it still doesn't help. I had my vehicle broken into, had a picture of the person, the name. I went to the police station, gave it. My answer was, what do you want me to do? So I left. Now, you say you can't do nothing about living spaces. Hang on here. We got laws about putting the garbage can out too early. Oh, wait a minute. We used to be able to put a tempo up and not have a problem. You put a tempo up now, you better have that permit or else it's coming out. You start building a deck, oh, that's over 3 feet. That's called bylaws, I believe. So doesn't the city have the capability to say, this type of business cannot be in this area? Now, there might be a whole bunch of people that say Ron Lapine's an asshole. Well, hang on here. During COVID, I picked up more people than you could shake a stick at because I do have a heart. I've given meals to homeless people, but I won't give them money. They ask me money for food. I say, what do you want? I'll go get it. I've had food thrown back at me because they said, that's not what we want. And I'm going like, okay here. I am willing to help. I've been to other places where the help is 5 miles out of town. You got to get there? I will pay the bus. I will buy you brand new clothes to bring you out there. When you're clean, you come and see me. I will give you a job if I can. I will help you get a job. But right now, the only thing we're doing is we have a fire. And it seems that the mentality of all governments, local, provincial, federal, is let's pour gas on this fire. It'll eventually go out, but we got lots of gas. Just keep pouring gas. That's not the way you help. You cannot help an alcoholic by giving him more alcohol. You cannot help an addicted by giving him more drugs. You cannot help a homeless person by not giving him a place where, okay, I can get myself straight, I can get the help I need. I'm not influenced by Joe Blow over there with his cart. I live behind Eastside Mario. I've lived there for 34 years. It used to be the safest place it was. I could leave and go to Hearst and be gone for a long weekend. Keys in the vehicle, doors unlocked. I get out of my van and I lock it. My grandchildren are scared when they go out. I have grandchildren that live at the end of Pine Street, right down at the end. My son bought the house. The first night he moved in, there was people in his backyard. He went outside. He just about got accosted. Luckily, my son, for once, he used patience because he's not a patient man. Because it would have been it. And they were told, well, there's nothing we can do. Like the gentleman said, it's not your property. If I go park my stuff on your property at the city, what is the city going to do? Hey, you got a bill, Mr. Lapine, or you get your stuff, oh, yeah, and it got impounded, so you're going to pay the impound fees. But yet, they seem to be able to do anything without any repercussion.
Okay, Ron. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I know.
I thank you. Now, one question. Is it a possibility that you make that bylaw where this type of business is not allowed there? Because it's been done before.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I would say yes, you listed off all the different powers that we have under bylaw enforcement. There is the possibility of restricting the kind of operations or businesses within certain zones. Yeah. That being said, I can't tell you right now. This is something that I would have to get legal advice on. Considering that housing is a human right, I don't know if emergency shelter is one of those things that we could actually legislate by bylaw. I don't know that. I can find out. I'm committed to finding that out. That being said, it's the position of this council to make decisions that are trauma-informed. So we use trauma-informed strategies. We understand that substance use disorder and acute addiction is a medical disorder. And I'm responding to some of the things you said at the beginning. It's a medical disorder that needs to be treated with medical treatment. And so I agree that housing often isn't enough. Housing has to be provided with supports, with wraparound supports. And that was touched on in the letter that was read and in the speech that was read, that just housing someone sometimes isn't enough and that they need supports, or else we're giving them a place to die, like you said, or like was said. So we agree, and that's the focus. That's the position of council, is to now shift our focus on supportive housing, transitional housing, next level housing. Thank you.
Okay, sir, you've been waiting patiently. Please ask your question.
Yes, I have.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes,
sir.
I have. My name is Robert Crocco.
Sorry, just a second. Luke?
My name is Robert Crocco, and I've been working downtown Timmins since 1974. And I've been listening to what the mayor and council have been saying, and they've been trying really, really hard. And I got to give them credit for that. But trying really, really hard in this situation does not cut the pie. But I have a solution. As a taxpayer, no. as an employer of these people, I would like to see a resignation on our desk tomorrow morning, and we'll find somebody new.
Sir, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sir?
Hello, my name is Chris Axel, E-X-E-L. I have a question. Is it ethical to deny outreach to people who are suffering from chemical addictions that is slowly killing them and hurting people around them? The reason why I say this is that on June 13th, Tuesday, 2023, I was at St. Matthew's Anglican Church where there was a homeless encampment present, right? And I saw the Porcupine Health Unit outreach team drive to the parking lot at the Anglican Church, literally crawl out or literally get out of their vans, but then literally the next thing they do is that they get immediately back into their vans and they left just like that. That left me wordless, to say the least. It made me pretty angry.
Yep. Yes. Thank you, Chris. Nice to talk to you again.
Sorry about that. It's just I'm fairly shy as a speaker, but honestly, it feels good to get this out of my chest.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Ma'am.
Hi there. So I'm Amanda Lachance, and I own Done Right Cleaning Service. Sorry. So we are just a cleaning service here in town, so we are all over the town. So we're downtown on the outskirts. So it is downtown, but it is everywhere, guys. So it is sad, even for my employees who get followed. I've had people quit because they've been followed to work. We've had some on their way to work get jumped and unable to make it. So we've also had our company vehicles broken into. We've had our company vehicles' tires slashed almost on a nightly basis sometimes. And sadly, in some of the situations, the police don't do anything, even with cameras and pictures, because what are they going to do? They're just going to do it again anyways. So I'm just wondering, because that does affect us as well, not in the capacity of these downtown folk, and they keep talking about like the money for helping them with security and stuff, but how about we not just talk about monies and what we can do money-wise for it? What can we do to make it safer for, let's say, my employees to walk these streets at any time of the day, whether it be early morning or in the evenings? Can we maybe, I understand that there are some homeless who truly are, and they want to get better, and they want to make themselves better. So yes, the homeless space is a perfect spot for them, but there are some who just use that for the services. There are some who go in people's backyards, break in their homes, and do all these awful things that everybody is so sick and tired of. And we would like maybe some of that cleaned up, almost like as if we can do a big sweep of the town, you know? And also on my properties that I manage as well, cleaning them all the time. Like the safe injection sites are a really big sore spot, as well as the needles, because they're everywhere. They don't just give them one or two. They give them a strip, guys. They give them a strip like this. So they take them and they stash them in all these different places around town so they can go back to them later. Like, you don't have any idea how many I throw out. So it's such a waste. Why are you giving an addict this many so they can use later? And it's not just the needle. It's the needle, it's the saline, it's the pot, it's everything. Why are we, you know, and I know that's for drugs, but also touching on this topic, diabetes as well is huge, but we're giving these people free needles. Why can't we give diabetics free needles? So I guess my question would be, since we can't allocate funds to everybody, because in my case it would kind of be impossible, like you can't exactly pay for cabs for my employees for me, and not all of them can get to each place. But can we kind of try to do like a sweep of the town and kind of like clear out the ones who are not trying to utilize living space? Can we maybe try to put like a time frame on the living space? You're in at this time, guys, and the doors lock at this time. You have to be clean to utilize the living space. Something like that to try to make our city a better place so we can get Timmins great again and clean again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
Thank you. Again, I appreciate that you come forward with some productive ideas, things for us to explore, absolutely. I just want to touch on the harm reduction piece again. And this is because, again, we're trying to help you have the most value out of your money, for your money, absolutely. And so the approach to harm reduction and supply needles, you asked, why do we supply needles? That's so that the cost would be less on our medical system. I know it's hard to understand, but when someone is suffering from drug addiction, they will be using again, whether they have a clean needle or not. But if they don't, we're increasing the chances of them contracting HIV/AIDS, syphilis, any other blood-spread disease, meaning that we're increasing the amount of people that have to come to our emergency rooms, that have to access our medical services. It's actually cheaper to hand out needles and harm reduction supplies than it is to deal with
Okay, I'm sorry.
the diseases that are caused by using dirty supply. Thank you.
Sir, please.
I guess there we go, sorry. My name is Thomas Vesna. I own a dental clinic downtown. I echo a lot of thoughts and sentiments as everybody else here. I guess I'll touch on my sob story quickly. I worked at the dental clinic that's been there for 40 years, for 7 years before owning it. The guy that had it before, Keith, retired. As his retirement party, Living Space was just starting out, and we celebrated by sponsoring a meal and trying to help bring dental supplies and hygiene products and stuff. Only to, since I've taken over, I've been broken into 6 times. There's a basement apartment where I lived. At 5 o'clock in the morning, my wife heard someone walking around upstairs. I went upstairs, at the top of the stairs, saw a pair of shoes because they knew we were downstairs and they wanted to walk around quieter upstairs. They were in my till at my office desk with a hatchet when I tried to get them out of there. Called the police, and when they got there, there wasn't a ton of compassion. Instead, I was met with, "Oh, too bad you couldn't have held them down longer." My wife is in the building. My priority was getting this person out of the building. 2 weeks later, it happened again. I have bars on all the windows, alarm cameras now. So with the cameras, we can see what they look like. But even when talking to the police, I know they feel hopeless as well. They feel like there's nothing they can do. They have no power behind them to do anything. Since then, we moved out. I got a tenant in the basement. He left at Christmas time to go visit family. People on the street watched him pack suitcases into a taxi and knew that even though there's a truck in the driveway, there's nobody home. They broke the window, crawled in, and did as many trips to their house, which is only 4 minutes away, round trip. So they were just watching. He was positively identified on Facebook, and he resided at the same address up the street. That's still not enough evidence for police to do anything. He cut himself to shreds on the way in. They were really counting on the DNA evidence to come back, and we'd be able to get this guy. They were telling me, I'm like, okay, good. I called because 3 weeks later there was nothing. It took 7 months for the DNA to come back. They called me all excited, and they said, guess what? He's a male. I said, yeah, I know. We told you that, and we know his name and where he lives. After that, my tenant had everything taken. I had somebody that I know lives 3 doors away from me come with tools to snap the outside tap off. It flooded the entire basement. There's $80,000 worth of damage to that. The TPS responded to that. And again, I have video evidence. I see that man walk by twice a day, every day. He lives 3 doors down. I am beyond words. I was part of a succession planning video that the city, well, I guess the chamber was putting on, saying why I thought people should come back to Timmins like I did, and what are the benefits of living here. And that was the example, because I had all this set up where Keith would retire and I would take over. Since then, Madam Mayor, you sent me an email a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, asking me to be a part of a small group and asking for the same kind of thing. Any ideas? What can we do to generate interest in coming back? I went from being excited to own a business in Timmins to not wanting any part of it. I considered going into the mines. So if the police, and when I found out the guy who was wearing the same clothes as the video, the guy that flooded the basement apartment, I followed him in my car with my wife, and we had dispatch on the line for 45 minutes until they told us there's nothing we can do, there's no one in the area that we can send. So if the police need more help and you're not going to do anything about moving living space, give them more help. And you're saying give us money for cameras and all stuff like that. We have all the evidence. The police can't do anything unless they literally catch them walking out, which brings me to my last one. I got broken into again 2 weeks ago in the shed in the back. Timmins Police was able to catch them because for whatever reason they're hanging out in there, and I called them and I saw them on video. That one made the news. The rest of them didn't make the news. Also, the tenant had 10 guns taken from his safe that hit the street. You'd think that would be a priority. I guess that's all.
Yes, please.
Ma'am. Thank you, Thomas. Luke? Just a
Hello?
second. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. So thank you for coming. I appreciate that you're here. My name's Natasha Chartrand. My husband and I we're business owners in the city. We've lived here all our lives. We're also raising 3 daughters. And I'm here to advocate for my kids and some other kids here too. So my situation's a little bit different, and I suppose a lot of people in the city don't even know this is happening, but recently we had 2 bale bed houses move in right beside us. Now, for those who don't know, a bale bed house, and I'm going to read it, is a place that people accused of criminal offenses, that's where they go to live, so they can be supervised while awaiting trial. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have one job in my life as a mother, and that is to keep my kids safe. I am failing. My kids are not safe. They're not. They don't want to go play outside. they're teenagers, but still, they don't want to go outside because there's criminals living next door. They don't want to go uptown because of all the bullshit up there. I don't know if this is a good suggestion or not, but I believe, and I know some people in this room are going to like what I say, but I believe these programs are somewhat necessary. They are not necessary in a residential area. They need to move. They need to move now. So, a suggestion, I know they have to be close enough to this to get services. What about the 655? I would gladly use my taxpayer. I don't know, it's just a suggestion. We're here for suggestions. I would rather see my tax dollars go to see somebody who chooses to get help to get them a cab than just lounging uptown doing nothing. That's my opinion. But I'll tell you one thing. My kids, and that's what's important, and probably every kid in here too, Mary Ann's kids aren't allowed to walk to the corner store because there's an encampment on the walking trail. What kid doesn't deserve to walk to the store to get candy? That's it. And I don't know if this is, just humor me for 1 minute. Close your eyes. Just close it, thank you. Your kids are outside playing in your front yard, okay? It's a beautiful day. Now open your eyes. On the left, you have a bail bed house. On the right, you have the safe injection site, and in front of you, the living space. Are you gonna let your kids out to play? No. It needs to move. Thank you.
Thank you, Natasha. And I really appreciate you sharing. One thing I just want to touch on that you mentioned, when you said that you were failing your kids, you are not failing your kids. We are here having this discussion. We're here having this discussion because of failing systems. And there's a part we could play as municipal council, as Timmins Police Services, in trying to rectify and trying to improve on those systems, but there are parts that we won't be able to touch. But know that we are here because of failing systems. We recognize that, and we're gonna do what we can. Our part to try to better them. That's all we can commit to right now. And just in response to some of the heckling that's coming our way, there's not one person sitting up here that is responsible for what you are experiencing. There is not one of us that is responsible for that. And there's not one person up here that will solve all of these problems alone. So thank you again for sharing, and I'll give a chance to a few other people to share.
Ma'am?
Hi, my name is Roseanne Lineker. I'm not a business owner. I'm just a simple lady, single lady, trying to get by. 3 months ago, I came home. I'm a PSW, and I came home for a 16-hour shift. The gentleman that broke into my apartment, it's the main floor of a house, he left at 6:38, and I got home at 6:45 a.m. I just missed him, and he is, I'm sorry, pardon my French, damn lucky that he missed me. I'm 5'2", but I'm mighty. Now, that was 3 months ago. He stole all my electronics. He stole stuff that I can't replace. And the only thing, I don't care about the stuff he stole. I still don't feel safe. I'm sleeping on the couch, and I work hard. I work really hard, and I'm not sleeping. It's been 3 months. Because the door he broke into is the back door, and my bedroom is right beside that back door. So I'm sleeping on the couch because that's the front door. So I feel if I'm on the couch, I'm safer. So now I ask the police, anybody here at the police that can stand up and tell me what I can do if somebody comes in and breaks in while I'm sleeping or doing whatever, what can I do for myself? Can I spray the bugger? Can I hit him with a knife? What can I do to be safe? Because the police officer showed up and he went next door and there's a picture of the guy, the back of his head. And the police officer told me, oh, you know what, Roseanne? He's a homeless person. I said, I don't care he's a homeless person. I work hard. Now, every time I go to work, now this weekend I'm gonna be working 40 hours in 3 days, okay? So now, all the stuff that I did try to replace, I have to hide it. Before I leave to go to work at 2:30 in the afternoon on Saturday, and I come home Sunday morning at 6:45, all that stuff has to be hidden. Because if I don't hide it, I'm at work wondering, is that guy, that loser, gonna go back into my house and steal? And when I got home, the whole place was a shambles. And the back door was still open. So he felt, and he was there for 4 hours. So supposedly he slept on my couch while I was at work. Now I don't own a business, and that probably wasn't a lot. And then someone tells me, oh, why don't you have renter's insurance? Well, you know what? I'm 57 years old. I've never had renter's insurance. And I shouldn't have to have renter's insurance. I shouldn't have to hide my electronics and have to hide everything in my home while I'm going to work and busting myself to try to get by, to try to put money away so I could retire and have a nice life and move out of Timmins. Because I don't feel safe. So what can I do? What can I do to feel safe? What can I do? That's my question. So a police officer stand up and tell me as an owner, when someone comes in, what can I do to feel safe that I can start sleeping in my bed again?
Thank you.
If I may, thank you for sharing. It's heartbreaking to hear what you're going through. And I want to thank you for your service, for your work. You are one of the unsung heroes. So thank you for the work you do as a PSW.
Thank you.
It's not right what you're experiencing and what you're feeling. You don't feel safe in your home, and that's not okay. I might give the opportunity to the chair of the Timmins Police Services Board. I don't know if you're able to provide the answer to that question. Again, how it...
Yeah.
That being said, again, we are here to listen. We are here to take note of the questions that you have so that we can make sure that we get that information out to you as fast as possible. I don't know, I can't see them, so I don't know if they want to say something.
So what do I do? So is there someone I can call? Is there someone I can talk to that they can get back to me and tell me, okay, you go buy bear spray, you go buy an axe, you go buy this, you go buy that. Is there someone that can get back to me to tell me what I can do to feel safe? Because I don't.
I'm telling her I'm happy to take her phone number.
Okay.
Yeah. Ma'am, on behalf of the Police Service, I'd be happy to take your phone number and I will get you that answer.
All right, so I can see you after meeting?
Yes, you can.
Thank you, ma'am.
Listen,
Okay.
we want to make sure that we provide you with the right information. I know you were asking one of the police officers to stand up and tell you, but they're not the ones that are hosting this event. They didn't agree to sit up here with us. We didn't ask them. I just want to say, it's not that they didn't want to. We're here as your counselors, as your representatives, so that we could find the answers that you're asking for. That's what we're here for. So I'll tell you that there will be communication coming out in the next few days about what are your rights as a homeowner when there's an intrusion happening. We will make sure that that information gets out to the public. Thank you.
Okay. We're getting close to the end of the advertised time. Do we want to take a couple more questions? Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. I'm Stella Chow. I own a couple of businesses in town. I hear everything that the mayor and all the councilor there. Isn't it that all these people here are the ones that put you there to protect us? But I guess the protection is not there. January 29, my restaurant got broken in. I got full of cameras there. But guess what? Even the police or anyone can do nothing. And all of you should have pity on us. You can even send us a message. Oh, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. But no, bullshit. You only know us. If the election is coming, we need you because we put you in there to protect all of us, not just the businesses, all of us. And downtown Timmins right now should be the core of the town. But no, it's a piece shit of the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chow. Ma'am.
Yes, my name is Margaret, and I have two concerns. One is for the seniors, especially the ones living at St. Mary's Gardens. I work there, and I work steady nights, so I've seen lots of these people. When Living Space was on Cedar, we'd get them all night long, going through our garbage, going through our cigarette can, coming up, we'd ask them to leave, and they basically tell us to F off, and they threaten us. Now that they're on Pine, they no longer come this far. We do have some that live in the area, but the main ones don't come this far anymore. So what are they doing? They're coming during the day, and they're harassing the seniors when they're trying to sit outside and enjoy the sun. They will walk straight up to the seniors and ask them for money, swear at them, call them names. Like, what are these poor people supposed to do? And when it was on Cedar, before they put the bars up at the 101 Mall, those poor tenants that lived on Pine had to watch these people take a dump in those little sections, spread their garbage, shoot up, screaming and shouting. Like, these seniors dedicated their life, they contributed to society. These people are not contributing to society. They're sucking the life out of us. My second issue is with the slumlords in this town. And there are several of them. How do I know? Because I live on 6th Avenue. And my landlord rents to Living Space. Why? Because it's a guaranteed income, and if they do any damage, she gets reimbursed. There's sheets of plywood up on the front door, there's sheets of plywood on the windows. The building across the street has sheets of plywood all over the place, and you say, who are these slumlords? Drive around town and you'll know, just by looking at the building. You guys have bylaws. When I used to live on 1st Avenue, our car, we had to get rid of our car because it was considered an eyesore. And if we didn't have it gone by a certain time, we were going to be charged by the city because it was an eyesore. Well, what about all these slumlords? Their buildings are eyesores. And they're renting to these people, and these people are living in these places, and the people that are trying to just make a living and get by, some of us have to live in these crappy places. Well, these people break into our apartments. They slash our tires. Like, the backyard is trashed because they bring all their garbage. Like, drive around and look at these places. You can be charging them with not taking care of their properties. And you can start charging these landlords or these property owners for not fixing up their properties. This city looks like garbage. Half the buildings are covered in plywood. Like, how is that a good place to live?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may just quickly, you touched on one thing, and you're right. We do have bylaw enforcement for property standards. And so I would encourage you, and I do drive around, and I submit these tickets myself. I would encourage anyone to call into Service Timmins, to go onto the Service Timmins website and submit a ticket for property standards issues. And you do. And our bylaw enforcement, they respond quickly. They have to provide notice. There's 7 days that you have to give the landlord to be able to clean up the property. If after 7 days it's not cleaned up, then we'll go in and clean it up and we'll charge it back to the property taxes on that landlord. This is something that we do have at our disposal. This is one of the tools we do have. So please keep submitting those tickets because it's the only way that we could go after them for the property standards issues.
Here, because they're charging a ridiculous amount of rent for these garbage. Like they're $1,100, $1,200. How are we supposed to be able to afford those places?
Thank you.
2 more, real quick, or? Okay. You have been waiting all evening, so I appreciate your patience. So I'll let ma'am speak. Yes.
Thank you. I respect that you didn't create the problem. You were probably not all elected when it started, but we need the moving space gone. Like, we're all from Timmins. We know how cold it is in the winter. You wouldn't leave your dog, a puppy that's hungry outside. So these people, you know, they have addictions. By enabling, whether it's alcohol or drugs, they will not get better. You're actually killing them. I've heard so many stories. Minimans had their share of break-ins. I had people running on my roof, kids on the drug shack behind my place, 6 to 12 years old, vaping during school hours. They were right on the edge of a building, very unsafe. Whereas the parents were bringing up a society that I don't want my grandkids to grow up in, or my daughters. I went back to school in 2008 when my son went to school out of interest, and I saw a lot of this coming. They were talking about how the United Nations were all facing the same issues. One of them was too many old people. The other one, there was many issues, and they were pushing on these injection sites. Well, at the time, I have not changed my mind. Timmins is going downhill. I had an injection site that was open right by my business. I was never told that it was going to be there. How is that right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's fine. Okay. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap this up. I understand. We have to also respect the staff of the arena as well. So I will thank everybody for coming out this evening. I understand it's a very heated discussion. I will just, if we can wrap it up, and are there any closing remarks or? Okay, so we can please just, if we can allow the mayor closing remarks, and then we'll have to wrap it up for the evening. Thank you.
I'd like to start off in closing by saying that I really appreciate everyone coming out. Again, we apologize that we didn't have enough time to get through all of the questions. But we have to respect that there are staff here that didn't sign up to overtime past 9 p.m. Let's be respectful of that for everyone, please. That being said, this isn't the last time that we're going to do this kind of event. We want to continue to hear from you. So please keep reaching out. I know some of my fellow councillors wanted to be able to address you, so I'm going to hand down the microphone. You gave us a lot to think about. Again, I appreciate you sharing, and I'll hand the mic over to one of the councillors.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention, please? I have a word to say. First of all, this was Pack the Mac tonight, and we packed the Mac, okay? Don't give up. Don't give up. Organize yourselves. Hold us accountable, okay? And I'm going to tell you something. As the councillor for Ward 3, we will stand with the residents of Ward 5 who are taking the brunt of this. We will stand shoulder to shoulder with you. And we're not done, okay? We're not done.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge everyone that's come out, individuals, Melissa Kelly, when she shared her story, very powerful, very emotional, and I think it's really calling us to action, the many stories we hear, and everyone being here today. I'm not very far removed from downtown myself. I live right around the corner, so I know what goes on downtown. My kids don't go in the backyard. There's an encampment around the corner from my house. I am not far removed. I know what's going on. And I'm here to make sure that we're making change. And quite honestly, we need to be held accountable. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. As Ward 1 as well, I am not in the thick of the living space, but we have encampments throughout the whole city. So we're not limiting to just the one area. We've got to recognize that this problem is throughout the city, not just in one area. Moving living space on the outskirts, we already have them on the outskirts. They're already in the encampments. They're all over the city. I'm not saying that we shouldn't go in that direction. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be able to help ourselves, but this is not just the homeless in one area. It's throughout our whole city. And I think we have all to work together to try to get this resolved. And that's why I sat here today to listen. And let's see what we could put on the table to try to solve these problems. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. I'm pretty pissed off that my car gets broken into every week, that they smash the lock off my shed and steal all the shit that's in it all the time. So I'm here and I ran for council so that I can bring this to the committees that I'm on and work and try and fix these things. And I've got to keep my son and my daughters aware of the dangers that are happening in our yards and the things that are going on. No one wants to explain to their daughter why there's a guy lying in his laneway 10 feet from your back door. So I know firsthand some of the things that are going on, and I'm upset about it as well. So I did not know some of these stories, and I want to thank you all for sharing them with me because it's important. I see the stories on Facebook. I see the posts. I see the anger. I'm part of the anger. I'm part of these Facebook stories. But I did not hear some of them because they didn't come to my attention. So thank you for sharing them all with me.
I'm sorry. We have to cut it off. I understand.
I'm sorry. I'll come over afterwards and talk to you if you want. I really will. I'll stay right over here. But I'm just told I'm going to pass this down right now. And I just wanted to say I will do better. I was elected by people in Ward 5 to do a job to represent you. And I've heard what you've said and what you've been saying. I've been broken into. I live in the city of Timmins. I want to still live here. So I'm going to pass this down because people still want to talk, and I'll be right over here to talk with you.
Okay, thank you. Come here. Come up here.
Thank you for everyone for advocating for me to talk. It was really important, and I was really upset when I couldn't, but thank you to everyone who advocated. My name is Phoenix Blade. I am I just recently turned 18 years old. And I want to say that a large majority of people my age do not want to come back to Timmins, my home. And we ask ourselves why. I am scared to go to the movie theater. I'm scared to walk to school. I'm scared to walk to work. People are breaking into our homes, our garages. People are crawling under our trucks to steal pieces of it to sell. And who are these people? These are the homeless and the drug addicts and the alcoholics living in our city. And yes, they need help, but this isn't the way to do it. Most people do not want to come back to Timmins, our home. Your next generation, your next mayor, your next miner, your next construction worker, your next lawyer is not coming back to Timmins. I do not want to raise children in a city where I do not feel safe. We really do need to make it safe because there's no Timmins without a next generation. So why are we concerned about protecting the feelings of these homeless? Why can't we concentrate on protecting the youth? The next generation of Timmins. Thank you very much to everyone who advocated for me to talk. It was really important to me. Thank you very much. Thank you to the council for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys listening to us. Thank you.
I guess it's my turn to speak, and I just... Oh, go ahead. No, I'm going to let the kids speak. Go for it.
I actually have a question for the mayor. You said you have children, right? So try explaining to one of your younger children why there is a man, pardon my language, but taking an actual shit in a school bag, and why there's people dancing in the middle of the street. So what are you going to do for us to help us live in a community and a city that is so polluted and disgusting that no one wants to even be here anymore? What are you gonna do? I don't want a pity comment. I want a real answer and what you're gonna do. Can you give her the... There you go.
Like I said, I don't have a magic wand. I do have a daughter, and the reason that I presented myself to be mayor is because I do want to help make Timmins a better place to live for my daughter growing up. I know I'm going to have difficult conversations with my daughter. I know that I'm going to have to explain very complex issues to her. And it's not okay that we're witnessing this. It's not okay that any children is witnessing this. I'm acknowledging that.
But you're
and
also,
so what am I going to do? I'm going to keep doing the work that I'm doing.
But you're letting it happen. You're letting it get to the extent now where
I'm not going to subject myself to blame. I am not to blame for this. None of us up here is letting this happen.
But you guys
we are working
still,
hard to change things.
So I'm just going to have my 2 minutes that I've been allotted tonight just so that you guys can hear my opinion on all of this. I will say for anyone that didn't get a chance to speak, that wants to have their self heard, I will head out front of the arena when we get removed from here, and you can let me know what your issues are and what the experience is. I'll stay as late as it takes to hear from you. I just want to say that this is a complex issue that involves multiple levels of government, and they've all failed you. I'm not afraid to admit that. The provincial government is responsible for mental health and addictions, and they have failed immensely. And you know, I heard a lot of discussion on how great we would do, getting on the side of government, and now's the opportunity for that government to step up and show us that they can bring the help our city needs. The federal government has failed on bail reform. They've failed on catch and release. That's a federal government issue. Our job as municipal level, and we failed until we've succeeded in that, is to lobby those governments to make the changes to keep our residents safe. Our job as municipal government also is when we're applying, whether you want to call them Band-Aids or short-term fixes or small steps in the right direction, is when those steps have consequences, we address those consequences. And that's been my position since I've elected on council. I've heard the frustrations. Most of my platform revolved around community safety. I've tabled multiple issues at the table to try and move community safety forward. I will say it here in this room in front of the people because I'm not afraid to. I am not afraid to lobby to move the living space. I will explain the tangled web that is the living space a little bit. It is not owned by City Council. It is not controlled by City Council. They do rent from the DSAB, which has 50% of the DSAB representation, City of Timmins Council, which means the Cochrane District DSAB, if the City of Timmins Council is aligned on an issue and says, we want to move this and we will support and we'll come up with some funds to help move it, if those members go to the DSAB and refuse to pass a budget or refuse to approve things until that is on the table, the DSAB can make that happen. The CEO of the DSAB used to be the chair of Living Space. That was removed to provide some distance, but I don't want to let any confusion go that we do have a role to respond to our residents. I didn't know how tonight was going to go. I didn't know if 20 were going to show up or if 1,000 were going to show up. I knew it was one or the other. It was an all or nothing type scenario. I want to let you guys know that you have been heard. The stories, I've been asking for them for 3 months now. They're disheartening, they're discouraging, and no one sitting up here in this table that is an elected official for this city can walk away feeling anything but failure in where we are as a city. And it's our job to fix that, and I will make my commitment to continue to table issues that I feel will address that. And if a resolution saying council supports the movement of living space needs to be tabled, I have no issue tabling that.
Can I pick this up? Well, I just have 2 words to say tonight. Pride and gratitude. I'm so proud to see all of you out here tonight. It takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of stones to come and tell us what we need to hear, not what we want to hear. And I look over to my good friend Melissa. I heard the story from Lisa. All the stories were tremendous. Sonia, if she's still here, we need to hear those stories and we need to take action on those stories. As Stella correctly pointed out, we're elected to serve you, not the other way around. And you have my pledge tonight that we must start taking care of the people who take care of this community, you people. And I also want to say the word gratitude. I'm so grateful as a resident, as a business owner, but most importantly as a parent, that I have residents like yourselves that have the commitment and the courage to make this community better, to make this community safer, that all of you have my back, and I'm going to have your back. And as I said, we have to start taking care of your needs, and I know that myself and my colleagues are going to do just that. And you need to provide the input, and we have to take that and put it into action. Not what we're telling you should happen. You need to tell us what needs to happen. And that's the only way that we're going to find solutions. So thank you so much. Good evening, and God bless all of you.
That's all? Okay, so we've heard from Mayor and Council, so I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And stay tuned for the next one, I guess. But thank you very much.